All right, Facebook. Guys, namaste. God bless. How are all of you? And there I go, yelling again. Guys, happy Thursday. Hopefully you guys are well. I love how I come up with the show topic, the show prep, and I go for shits and giggles and I look up the, how should we say, National Day of. And today fits wholeheartedly, my goodness, to a T as usual. It's National Weed Your Garden Day. But first, a little drum roll, please. Guess what I got coming up in a couple days? You guys heading up to the weekend, you're always excited. To me, it's like, but it's almost vacation time for me, man. I finally get a vacation after almost a year. Maybe I can drain these eyes. Any makeup artists in the house, or, you know, kind of drain this excess tiredness from the eyes. But yeah, a blessed tiredness, mind you. But yes, indeed, it's National Weed Your Garden Day. And hopefully this metaphor will give you guys some insight from a French philosopher. I can't even pronounce his last name, but it goes wholeheartedly. It says, out of the quote box, to get right to the point, conquer yourself rather than the world. And I'm going to try to pronounce his name is Rene Descartes. Forgive me, Rene, if you're alive or deceased. I try, but those words in general should be the crux of your everyday living. Conquer the world. Conquer yourself is you weeding that garden, per se. And back in the 90s when I had to fit in, I had to conform, I had the white picket fence, and I was the guy, I should have bought Lowe's stock back then because I virtually lived there. You got 3 young kids running around. I had a big lawn to mow. And every time I'd mow the lawn, for a guy, this is a guy thing now. For a guy, they would sit back and relish what they've done. I create the patterns in the grass. that male thing, that male dominant thing. But the minute I got back up in the morning, you would hear boop, boop, and the dandelions would start popping up all over again. These weeds, those little bitches, they were tough. They were tough. So what did I do? I go back to Lowe's, man, or Home Depot, whichever one was in my realm of thinking that I get weed killer. And I get the Scotch turf builder, and I'd be running around the lawn doing the same pattern as the lawnmower, mind you. I had to keep the lines in check. That was quite a little obsessive compulsive disorder back then, but I made sure all lines were correct. And it wasn't doing good enough. Within a couple, 3 days, the lawn was full of these yellow bitches. Bees everywhere. Kids were losing their shit. They were running. They wouldn't go outside. I said, okay, fine. Let me just double the intake. And I just filled that Scotch turf builder push thing all the way to the top with fertilizer. And did the lawn again. When I came out the next day, the lawn started to turn brown. And by the end of the week, I went from the greenest lawn to the brownest lawn. So it was a great lesson in how not to be so obsessive and allow life to kind of, how should we say, bring you to where you want to go. Instead of trying to conquer it, just follow yourself and it'll all come together. But Renee had great words, because conquer is to gain mastery. You're just understanding yourself better. Our biggest quest in life is to just understand not where we've been, but what we want and what we want to become. And it's a great metaphor to live by. To gain mastery, to overcome by mental or moral power. I wasn't going to beat the lawn, man. I wasn't going to beat the science of nature, per se. The weeds were so deep. And if you think about weeds are, you can use them in the parable of thought. Think about it. You try to affirm every day it's going to be a great day, but then all the shit hits the fan. That's because the weeds of your belief system are so deep, and your thought process about where you're going is so deep, it just triggers the dandelion to pop back up again, and hence that old self. This is where the art of, how should we say, release or releasing in spirituality comes into play. Release is to set free. Set free from restraint, confinement, and servitude, with synonyms of advise or advertise and broadcast. In other words, you're sending out the new you. Weeds can't grow with a new environment, like disease. If you start living abundantly and peacefully, and rather than a toxic mentality, disease can't grow in your system. They're proving that in science right now. Thought is the start of everything. It's DNA and genetics. Yeah, but what controls those DNA and genetics is my question, and which I studied for the longest time. It's all around the environment, what we surround ourselves with, hence our thoughts, our feelings, and our mood. So those releasing in a spirituality sense is the practice of creating energetic space. A lot of us don't understand that. How can we let go of something that hurt us so deeply? I can honestly say, if you don't let go of it, or if you don't practice it, it says the practice of releasing energy. It's a daily practice of you healing, of letting go, of putting your own, the fertilizer in a lawn is love in your life, and whatever you want to have in your life, your purpose, your peace, and all these things you want to bring to light, not what's already happened to you. That's what Renee was saying about conquering yourself. Because when you conquer yourself, you're presenting every day to the world that you've always wanted to be. You don't got to fight for anything anymore. You don't got to fight for the person. You don't got to fight for the job. All these things literally come to you. Like every time I do a show, I literally get the premise of the show, what I want to focus on, it pops to me, and then it just comes up in my mindset. And life is literally that easy. You don't got to fight the lawn anymore. You don't have to fight the weeds anymore. Know that thoughts, deep thoughts and pain are like weeds with the deepest roots. And if you keep practicing new thought, the weeds can't grow. They can't metastasize it in your system. They can't hurt you as a person. When you start understanding and releasing, hence to set free that old you and presenting your new self to the world every day. The peaceful, abundant self that you've always wanted to be. And life's going to mold around it. This is what happened to me. I was a fighter. And I got a sad story for this. And I don't like to see people hurt themselves. Inadvertently. So many people are so stressed out about life in general. They just keep fertilizing the fertilizer that they're trying to help themselves with, hence they're being positive, and it's not working because the thought is so deep. The roots are so deep of pain and hurt that they carry around every single day. That's going to grow into their life because they're letting the world dictate their outcome. When you conquer yourself, you dictate the outcome. You become your own self-fulfilling prophecy just by how you think, act, and speak every single day, because hence you're sending out a different energy. And the laws of the universe are so precise, they can only give you who you are. So if you are that person of your past, you can only recreate more of that. If you are your person that you've always wanted to be, you are going to create more of that. This is the mental challenge that we get up to every single day. That's why I call releasing a spiritual practice of creating energetic space. You're opening the door to the new you by releasing the old. By affirming the new, you are creating new. A spiritual practice of creating energetic space for blessings to flow into your life. All of us want blessings and miracles, but few of us realize that we are a blessing and a miracle. When you start living with that kind of mindset, no matter who you are, whatever is going on here, you're still a blessing. It still took two cells to come together to make you, which that in itself is a miracle. When you start thinking that way, you can only create from that way. Not how bad life is, but how beautiful you are, no matter who you are. And if you set yourself out there by understanding yourself, you are conquering the old you, therefore creating a new you. Therefore, creating out there, the world is molding around that new you. It's really that simple. That's like, quantum physics 101. It's you sending out different energy for the quantum field, hence life energetic, to connect back with it. That's your karmic hamster wheel of living. If you look around your environment now, what's going on in your life, you'll realize what you're bringing, what you're attracting. If frustration's all around you, that's what you're thinking about all day long. If abundance is around you, that's what you're thinking about all day long. Does that make sense? It's really simple to figure out, but you got to get past of conquering yourself. the roots of old, the roots of that person that you keep fighting every day. You don't have to fight anymore, meatball. You just have to understand yourself to become yourself. Holding on to energy from thoughts, emotions, and habits that are unsupportive and unhealthy. That was the end of releasing that spiritual statement I was saying. I'll say it again. Holding on to energy. You're holding on to old energy that's therefore creating new energy, hence your karmic wheel of life. The releasing is probably the hardest thing, I mean, for stubborn SOBs like me. it was the hardest thing, but the most fulfilling. Well, once you guys realize the true power that you have, you won't have to deal with this sad story that I have to bring up. I mean, I'm not here to break out the Kleenex, man, but it's stuff like this. They're warning signs. And deceased notables and innovators that have given their lives to create everything around us were just like us. They had personalities. And no matter how much money they had, they couldn't stay alive long enough to actually enjoy it because they were too busy fighting the world. You got the people like this, like the one I'm going to mention today, and then you got the Ben Franklins, who lived until he was in his 80s. I think 80 or in his 80s, 81, I think precisely. Back then when there was virtually no medicine. What's the difference? Look at Ben's mindset. Yet this guy changed the country. Think of the innovators now that changed the country in their mindset. We've been conditioned to fight for everything when we don't really have to. We just got to be ourselves and push that narrative out to the world every single day. And then you realize that. But I'm going to read you the last words of this innovator. And hopefully it gives you guys some insight to stop fighting for everything. Just be yourself, man. Start releasing that old you by affirming the new you. If you tell yourself something long enough, you're going to believe it. You know, the Nazis used this with their lies back in World War II. They told the population something that wasn't true long enough, and the people actually believed it. They convinced millions of people to do atrocities that were unspeakable. You could do this to yourself in a better view, mind you. I hate to use that narrative, but it's a powerful tool. You affirm, you confirm. You bring about the best you by reiterating the best you. And you keep doing that on a constant level, then your mind actually starts to believe it. You get past the roots, the deep roots of what you keep telling yourself every single day that you're not good enough. Think about this, guys. This way, you don't have to do what this person did in the last hours of their life. And I hate to do stuff like this, but it's sometimes you got to get a kick in the ass to realize how fragile life is. And how life responds to every thought and every feeling in your physicality. If you're good to life, life will be good back to you. If you're fighting life, you're devastating your physical body in general. So think about this. These were the last words, and now I'll let you guys enjoy your Thursday, man. He states, lying in bed ill, and this is paraphrased because it was long. I took out a lot of it because I wanted to keep it simple. Here we go. Lying in bed ill and remembering my whole life, I realized that all wealth and recognition are insignificant in the presence of immortal death. As we get older, we get smarter. I can attest to that. And I'm sorry, I had to break the mood here as I'm reading this last will and testament. Here we go. As we get older, we get smarter, and we slowly understand that whether the clock is worth $30 or $300, they both show the same exact time. Whether we drive a $150,000 car or a $2,000 car, we'll arrive at the same destination. So there are facts that can't be denied. And this is the most powerful part of this. And then I'll let you guys go enjoy your night. And this is really, this is sad. But think about this. Don't educate your children to be rich. Educate them to be happy. Indeed. Carrying around that happy emotion all the time only increases everything in your life in the most beautiful way. Don't educate your children to be rich. Educate them to be happy so when they grow up, they will know the value of things and not the price. Hence, gratitude. All these things is insight to one's soul. And if you start living by that happiness and gratitude and wondering and feeling blessed that you are a miracle, which we are, like I said before, he goes on to say, eat your food as medicine. Otherwise, you'll have to eat your medicine as food. What he's saying, enjoy it. Enjoy life. Enjoy yourself. And he ends by saying this. And I have the definitions behind that I want to share with you guys because it's really important. There is a big difference in being a human and being. Now think about this. The definition of a human is representation or a representative of or susceptible to, how should we say, symphonies and frailties of human nature. And what that means is we're susceptible to human life out there. Does that make sense? And being is a quality or state of having existence. So you can be a human, hence conforming to the world, or you can be by being yourself and the world is conforming around you. Think about that. And that deceased innovator, which I'm a big fan of, was Steve Jobs. These were some of his last words from this 52 or 53-year-old man. Pancreatic cancer ravaged his body. It metastasized and went throughout his body. It jacked him down. But he lived with it for 8 years. I give him a lot of credit. Whereas Patrick Swayze was jacked out, sadly, in 2 years. So he definitely, Steve Jobs, which I don't understand. The guy was a hippie. He was into spirituality. But what he couldn't conquer was himself. Always fighting with the Bill Gates. Always fighting. I mean, employees couldn't even get in the same elevator with this guy. But he was brilliant. He was an innovator, just like Ben Franklin. He was an innovator. But what is the difference between the two? Emotion and their thought process. Ben Franklin was a creator. Steve Jobs was a fighter. Ask yourself the question, are you a creator of what you want in life, or you have to fight for what you want? There's two different realms in this spectrum of thinking. You pick your poison. I'll pick Ben Franklin's way. I'll be a postmaster general, put my little head on a penny, and create all these things that'll help other people in life in the joyous, most peaceful way, rather than trying to fight innovation. You know, the iPhone was already here in thought and energy throughout the world before it even became into existence. Steve just made it tangible. But what did it cost him to bring it to light is my question. Was it worth it? You know, you're worth $7 billion on your deathbed. That's not a hill of beans. He couldn't even buy life. Life still took it from him because he abused it with his thought process, and he fought for everything, which he didn't have to. Apple now has tripled the amount of products without fighting for it because they believe in the fact of creation instead of fighting. They let the public decide. It's a great way of thinking, guys. It's a great way of being in your life. Think about that for yourself, guys. I've talked a lot tonight, but just take to heart. When you reevaluate your life, you'll realize where you're going. When you reevaluate your life, you'll realize what you're attracting, guys. So happy Thursday to you guys. America's Mentor _radio on Instagram. At America's Mentor on X, guys. Follow me, Jerry Maldonado 2, for unique information to help you to your destination. I hope I didn't depress any of you. But the realization is how you approach life every day is how life is going to respond. What you give to life, life is going to give back to you. So give it love, give it your peace, give it your all, the best you, and watch how good life will give back to you guys. So happy Thursday to you guys. I'll see you guys soon, man.